Hello, welcome to Maltbox. I'm Andy and this is Whisky Review number 4. What we're doing today, guys, is heading over to the windswept island of Islay off Scotland's west coast. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it. And what we'll be tasting today is the Laphroaig 18-year-old. So, this is it. This was kindly gifted to me by a colleague at work, no less, and trust me, I'm very much surprised that it evaded and managed to get home, because to be honest with you, I could happily have drunk it at my desk. Now, Laphroaig is a very interesting distillery. It's Islay's most popular single malt whisky, so it is the best selling single malt from Islay, with over 80,000 cases sold every year. Just to put that into a bit of context, they currently hold around 2.7% of the overall single malt Scotch whisky market. So there's a lot of distilleries out there, there's a lot of brands out there, but Laphroaig hold 2.7% approximately of that overall single malt market, which is pretty impressive. The distillery has a capacity of around 3 million litres a year, so it can produce 3 million litres of spirit. The 18-year-old sadly replaced the old 15-year-old. Now, you might think, well, why have you got the 15-year-old behind you? Now, this is the recently released limited edition 15-year-old. This isn't actually my bottle, seeing a pattern. This is actually a Whisky Club bottle from the Manchester Whisky Club, because as I mentioned previously, I'm the chairman. And so basically after the night the whisky comes home with me, and then I take it back at Christmas and we all have good knees up with the what's left of the tastings. So the 18-year-old replaced the 15-year-old back in 2009, and Prince Charles was not very happy about that at all, because the 15-year-old Laphroaig was Prince Charles's whisky of choice. You might notice that the 10-year-old has a little royal warrant stamp on it from His Royal Highness Prince Charles, and that's because he's such a big fan of the distillery. Now, the 18-year-old is bottled at 48%. It's non-chill filtered. I believe it's got a bit of colouring added, unfortunately. But such is life. Those are the times that we live in. I need to get every last drop out of this, because unfortunately my sample bottle is quite small. I've got to do the old Heinz ketchup routine. It'll have to do. So, as I was saying, bottled at 48%, non-chill filtered, but a little bit of added colouring in there. Retail wise, I've got to be honest guys, it's not cheap. It's getting pricier each time I see it, strangely. On most websites in the UK in particular, like your Master of Malts and your whisky exchanges, it's around 80 quid, which is a bit steep, but you can find it on the continent for a bit less than that on some of the Dutch websites, which is always good. So without further ado, I'm going to give this a bit of a nose. Colour, well, yeah, it's quite a nice colour, but as I say, I believe it's got a bit of added colouring in there, so, which is a shame. I'm not too sure what type of wood this was matured in. Off the top of my head, I can only presume a mixture of American and European oak. Online, all the websites, books that I've read, basically just refer to it as being matured in oak casks, which isn't very useful. Such is life. So, on the nose, already, it's surprisingly sweet, you know. It really is surprisingly sweet. If you've tried the 10-year-old, you'll know straight away the thing that hits you first, well for me in particular, TCP plasters, you know, like band-aids as you American guys would call it, if you're watching, hello. It's not the case on this. I'm actually quite surprised that the extra 8 years has really mellowed this out. It's sweet, there's honey, it's kind of a bit floral as well, oddly. It's like treacle toffee. You know, like golden syrup as well. It is quite syrupy, and there's that little bit of peat behind there as well, but it's not as strong as I anticipated it to be. A bit of peanut brittle, And just lots of confectionery. It's like Mars bars, Snickers. Get some nuts. Vanilla in there as well, just towards the end. I'm quite impressed with the nose. It is quite complex, and it isn't just a big hit of peat like you might expect from Laphroaig. So on the palate, a lovely oily texture. Non-chill filter in it has done it the world of good. It's still coating my tongue. I keep licking the back of my teeth because it feels like there's a film on it, which is fantastic. That is exactly what I look for in a whisky. You'll notice in the next, the coming reviews over the next few years, if a whisky's got a good mouthfeel, I will rant on about it, because for me, it's also similar to a nice long warming finish. It's still there, it's coating your tongue, it's enabling the flavour still to kind of, it enables you to pick up on things a bit better. And it does assist the whisky, it lasts. I mean, in terms of flavours, the peat was there, admittedly, it was there, but again, it wasn't like a big, massive punch of peat. You've kind of got like a granity, which is going to sound ridiculous, element to it as well. Sort of like a wet stone, not that I often eat stones. And again, really floral. It is really floral, it's surprisingly light. It's a complex whisky, but at the same time, it isn't amazingly in your face. It works really well within itself. There's honey there again, cinder toffee, which in case you don't know, just imagine a crunchy bar from Cadbury's. You've got a bit of like nuttiness and some chocolate in there, like milk chocolate, maybe white chocolate. So it's a bit sickly sweet, but in a good way, like Caramac. I mean, what I'm going to try and do, since I've not got much left, is put a tiny bit of water in it, only half a teaspoon. I mean, it's 48%, so it can probably take a little bit of it. There we go, that'll do. What I have here, whilst that's opening up a little bit, is my Friends of Laphroaig certificate. Now, I've got to be honest with you, I only put it in that frame for this review. I needed props, it was a bit blank, it was a bit bare, so there it is. Now, what the Friends of Laphroaig is, if you buy a bottle of Laphroaig, don't just throw the tube away, because you'll notice there's a little booklet inside of it, and if you open it up it gives you a unique reference number. And if you go on their website, you can register as a friend of Laphroaig using this reference number. And what that gets you is a little plot of land on Islay. And the annual rent charged is a dram of Laphroaig. So if you ever visit the distillery and you're a friend of Laphroaig, you get a dram. I can't remember off the top of my head how big your plot is, but let's put it this way, it's not going to be enough to run around and play football or hunt or probably do anything really. You could probably stand in it on your tiptoes. Yeah, you get a nice little certificate that you can print off. It's got my name on it. My plot number is 742915. I know it well. So hopefully, in the time that I've yabbered on about that, it should have opened up a little bit with a touch of water in there. Nose hasn't changed too much, to be honest with you, it's nothing too drastic. The sweetness is still definitely prevalent, the vanilla's coming through a bit more. It is quite spicy now, admittedly. You've got a bit of cinnamon and a bit of nutmeg in there as well, mainly the cinnamon. Sort of fruit as well, maybe green apple. And kind of like maybe a touch of herbs like coriander. A bit of coriander in there as well. On the palate. It's smooth. It's really it's just a lot smoother basically. The flavour profile again hasn't changed too much. Still toffee in there. It's still quite floral, still sweet, and it basically just takes a little bit of the peat away. I've got to be honest, it does take a little bit of the peat away. I think it is better without a bit of water in there, should I say. So there's not actually as much smoke in there. I mean, the smoke on the palate is similar to the Benromach. It wasn't the main feature. It was just sort of holding everything together, and it played a bit of a side part, as it were, and let the sort of like fruitiness and the sweetness of the dram take centre stage. Do you know what though? That's not a bad thing. I think it's a lovely expression from Laphroaig. It really is. Lovely dram. In terms of points, I'll probably score this 87 out of 100. It's a lovely dram. Whether or not it is worth the £80, I can't tell you that. That will be up to yourself as to whether you want to purchase this particular dram for 80 quid. Personally, I won't be flocking to get it purely because of the cost, but it is a lovely little drop. Really nice drop. So, thank you for tuning in. I hope you tune into our next review, which will look at the Octomore from Bruichladdich, and it will be the 6.3, the Isle of Barley. So the limited release from that, so I'm really excited to review that. I've got a little bit left that I've been saving. In the meantime, if you'd like to send me a tweet on Twitter, my hashtag, my whatever you call it, is maltbox, so at maltbox. If you want to drop me an email, maltbox@gmail.com, nice and straightforward. We do also have the blog as well, so the actual blog itself, the hard copy as it were, is maltbox.blogspot.co.uk. And on the blog, as well as the embedded whisky review videos, there's also a little bit underneath it about my, well, from what I would recommend in terms of malt music to enjoy with the dram in question. So there's a bit of music in there to suit the dram as well. Once again, thank you very much for tuning in. I've been Andy, still will be afterwards. See you soon. Thank you.